Trading the foreign exchange market carries high risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Trading on margin, utilizing leverage can carry an even higher level of risk that can lead to a complete loss of investment funds. So before deciding to trade the foreign exchange market or using any of our software alert products, you should carefully and diligently consider your personal investment objectives, level of experience, and risk tolerance. There is a possibility that you could potentially sustain significant loss. You should not invest any capital or trade that you cannot afford to lose. It is your responsibility to be aware of and understand all risks associated with foreign exchange trading and to seek professional advice from an independent certified financial advisor if you have any doubts. Auvoria Prime does not exercise trading authority over your trades. You and you alone exercise discretionary trading authority over every trade.
That I see here was the Aussie CAD. Want to sell. We are in an uptrend, and we had a down arrow. We did get a bounce off of the red zone, but right now we have two green zones that are kind of in the way. There's not enough room for it to take the trade, so that's a no trade. Let me get something. There we go. And let's see what else we have. We had the Euro yen at 11.45. We can take a look at that. It's probably a little bit past, even if it is a trade, it's probably past the prime time to be taken, but we never know. And we're going to look at the Euro yen. And we looks like it's also the, as you zoom out, we'll see how many zones we have. And we have, looks like we have, a little bit more of an uptrend. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 green. We have 1, 2, 3, 3 reds. It isn't an uptrend. We do have an up arrow, so that may have some possibility. Let's see what the distance is between the arrow and the next zone. We get the right arrow? Nope, we got the wrong arrow.
Maybe after this one we can have a look at the pound Kiwi. Robert's requesting that.
Okay, we'll do that. And, okay, we are in an uptrend. We did determine that. Get my little up arrow here, get it right by the zone so that when that zone goes away, we'll know that there was a zone there. And here's the up arrow. It is on a pullback right now, and we'll measure from the arrow. Actually, we can measure from where the arrow was generated, which is, looks like it was right about in here to the upside. That's only 9 pips, not enough room. You have 20 pips is going to be well into this red zone, and you would have to be breaking all these highs in order to get to that. Would not recommend taking that trade to the upside. And what was the other one there, Eva?
It was the pound Kiwi.
Pound Kiwi.
For a sell.
For a sell. And I'm assuming that's on the 15-minute chart?
You didn't say.
All right, well, we'll take a look at it here and see where we have an arrow. I'm on a 15-minute. I see an arrow way back here. There was a bounce arrow. It did come back and retrace a little bit off that arrow. Let me just see where this would have taken us here. Here is in the entry to the target, 38 pips. That would have been enough to the upside, and 40 pips to the downside. You'd still be, you would have been okay. You have taken some heat on it, but right now it's already working.
He's looking for a sell on this.
On a sell. Oh,
not
okay.
Actually, the bag.
I do not see a. What time frame are you looking at? I'm not seeing an arrow on the 15-minute chart. The zone. Let's see here. Let's check out the zones. See how many zones we have, if they're equal or not.
Again, guys, I just want to remind you, if you're putting questions in the Q&A, please give us the details of your time frame that you're talking about. And because sometimes they get lost, and by the time we get back to the question, we don't know what you're talking about anymore. In this case, we don't know, what time frame you're looking at, Robert. Oh, he says no arrow, just watch list.
Oh, just a watch list. Okay. Yeah, no arrow on this one. But this one may be well, if we get a bounce off of this, which it looks like we did, and it can fall within our zones for the reversal zone. Well, actually, even with the reversal zone, we did say this was a downtrend, didn't we? So let me see here. Let me get my
I don't remember if you zoomed out, to be
Yeah,
honest.
I'll
But
take a
your
look at it
arrow is
again.
there showing
Yeah,
downtrend. So
let me get my vertical lines here. So the 1500 line is going to be here. Put this on the 9th, which is
today.
I keep these at 15 and 17. That way I just have to change the date on it. That gives me, that way I can put my line on and put this on the 9th as well.
Now, where do you pull that this little box up from?
It comes from the objects list.
Okay.
And let's see if that did it. Let's see, I'll make it 02 dot. That's what it is. 02.09. That should take care of this thing. And then I should put that over on these. So I've got between my 1500 and 1700 bar. Yeah, this is just on the object list. I can just go and click on the top. That brings all my vertical line. That brings all my vertical lines up at the top. And I just have these set for the 1500 and 1700. And then all I do is just double click, left click on that, bring up this little box, and then just change the date. And that way I don't have to keep messing with trying to get this thing just tweaked just right.
Yeah.
Just
Actually,
this little helpful time-saving device trick.
Well, it says that it's a 4-hour arrow. I guess there must be a 4-hour arrow showing a downward something.
And let's see, let's zoom in on this, zoom out of this and see exactly, make sure we have our direction correct. We have 3 zones on the top. And so it's in a downtrend. So if we get it, so basically we get an arrow on the 15-minute chart, we can get if we get a bounce arrow, if we get the arrow on this one, we could possibly have a trade here with there's 38.9 pips. We can keep an eye on this one because there's a good chance we could get an arrow off of this. We did get the bounce. We don't have the arrow yet. This is in somewhat of an uptrend, which could be part of the problem why the arrow wasn't generated, because it's not crossing the moving average. But we'll keep an eye on this one to see if it generates anything. And this was the British New Zealand. Let me get my splash screen up. And the British New Zealand. So we're looking at the British and New Zealand. British is kind of in the middle of the pack, a little bit stronger on the lower time frames. New Zealand is nothing real conclusive with that one. So we're just going to hold off on that. And let's see. So I have nothing else new. Any other questions? Anything else we want to look at here? We have this. I have this. This is a little chart that I use for helping to find out where the direction of the trades are, what the strength is. This is where my strength meter. And I have 4 different time frames, and it's got a 1 hour, a 30-minute, a 15, and a 5. And the strongest pair is going to be at the top. The weakest pair is going to be at the bottom on 4. And you'll see that it's different on all 4 time frames. It's kind of a little bit like a heat map. It's got a little different parameters to it, but this is basically gives me a real quick look at the strength and weaknesses. And right now you can see that the Japanese yen is strong on all 4 time frames. So if we can alert with the Japanese yen, there's probably a good chance we're going to be traded to the strength of the yen. If we get an alert with the New Zealand, we'll be looking trading it to the weakness of New Zealand. So that's just a really quick way to help give another little clue as to which direction to take the trade. The arrow should give us that, but also gives confirmation to the direction that we may be looking at. And just make sure all your charts are, I'm looking at it, make sure all my charts are on the 15-minute time frame. And they do, except for the gold, the S&P 500, and the US Tech. Those are all in the 5-minute charts. But everything else, we pretty much use a baseline of, oh, here's one I missed here, this 15-minute. Just click on that, make it blue, and just click on the 15-minute, and it pops that back into where it's supposed to be. If you don't have these set at the correct time frame, you're going to be getting alerts. Whatever time frame you have these set for, that's where the alert will be generated on that time frame.
Just an answer to Judson's question and questions we've had before on your RCS that you were just showing, your relative currency strength for the pairs. Judson, that's available on TradingView. I don't know, Al, did you want to maybe show them how easy it is to make that? Yeah, or is that, no, it's not actually, is it? No,
Well,
no, sorry, I'm mistaken. The indicator itself is proprietary,
yeah,
but he did make the chart up on TradingView.
Yeah, it's strictly a TradingView thing. So if you have TradingView, we're working on a way to make that available if people are interested in it. But if you're just using MT4, it's not going to, I don't believe we have it available for MT4, although I am checking with the developer on that one to see if he can apply it to MT4 and see if we can make it available. It's just a nice little, it's just a real instant look at the individual strengths on different time frames, and it does help to keep you out of trouble sometimes. Any other questions? It seemed like it was kind of a slow morning this morning. Last check, the one we had was at 12:15, which was, that was the Aussie. Let's take a look and just look at some of these other pairs as, I like looking at the ones that are in the time zone that we're looking at right now. So right now we're looking at the London session, which would cover the British, the Euro, and the Swiss. And we're starting to overlap with the New York session, which would cover the US and Canadian dollars. So anything Euro and Canadian would be something maybe take a look at. Just start scrolling in to find some direction, start getting our charts set up a little bit. You can see this one's pretty strong to the downside. Again, you just scroll, zoom out on this little magnifying glass on the minus side. That'll let you zoom out. You can start counting the zones. You can see this is in a clear downtrend. And we'll mark this with a down arrow. I'll put it right by the last zone. So that way, if that zone goes, if it starts getting into an uptrend and that zone goes away, I'll know that there was a zone sitting there. I'll change my vertical lines for the contra trend trade, which one of the strategies is that if you're in the time frame between 8 o'clock in the morning, East Coast time, 8 to 10, that's what they often call the 10 o'clock reversal time, where it will oftentimes reverse against the trend. And that's, if we get an alert on something like that, we can oftentimes change that. So I'm just going to change these to the 09. And I'll mark the beginning of it. And then this one I'll mark to 09. We'll mark the end of it. And that way, if we had an alert, we have the zones already set up. And I'll just zoom out a little bit here. Try and find out where our direction is. Had a nice little bounce. We don't have the arrow. We had an arrow down here. This was earlier. This was the overnight session. We actually had two arrows and another. So we had the bounce. There's the arrow to go. Lots of room to the upside. Even though this is contra trend, looks like there's still lots of room to the upside. And let's just see if we have what kind of room we have here for this. There's 118 pips. There's a possibility of nice little. We could get a little bit of revert. This could very well get a reversal during this period of time. You can see it's starting to pull back a little bit, but we'll just kind of keep an eye on some of these. So that would be one that might have to be considered. Let's look at, that was the Euro CAD. Let's look at the Euro British is another one. That's those are two major currencies. And we'll zoom out. We have 4 and 2. So we're going to mark that and let's do one more time here. Yeah, lots of room to the strength to the downside. I'm going to mark that with a down arrow on the last zone, which is right here.
It's a strong zone now.
Yeah, this looks like it had a nice big drop down here. This was a couple of days ago. Yep. Morning there, Matt.
Good morning, my friend.
Morning,
Object list, and here we have the vertical lines. It's going to put the contra trend zones on. So this is going to be just make this a 9. It just must make it so much easier than trying to grab that line and tweak it into the right position. This way, they're already preset with the time. All you have to do is just change the date, and it's just a little time-saving device.
We actually just got an alert now. on the
Oh,
euro yen.
good. Euro yen. Let's take a look at it. Thank you. Euro yen, and we have zoom out. Looks like we are in an uptrend. We still have the up arrow from yesterday that we put in. And let's see whether we have any room. It looks like a sell down arrow at an uptrend. Right by a green zone, not much to trade there. Let's go and put our vertical lines on so that we have a target for that when the time comes. You'll find out a lot of these alerts aren't really tradable. They've been really slow these last couple of weeks. You get a lot of alerts, but they're all within rather tight zones. And it's just been hard to, we had a nice one. It was an iffy one yesterday, but it did work out very well. And let's see, euro yen, and let's see. Remember we said earlier, we said that the yen was the strongest pair, so we're going to be trading the yen against. It would be trading in the favor of the yen, but the euro is. If you look at this heat map, you'll see that the yen is up here at the top, so that's the strength. But you look, see where the euro is. It's kind of right next to it, except here on the 5-minute. So there's not enough. I like seeing at least a 3-point spread on the 30-minute chart before I say that it has any definite direction ability. Here, like this one would be like if we get a yen, Aussie yen, that would be a possibility. Here's a Aussie yen. So if we can get, we'll take a look at that one, just see if there's anything that's starting to develop on that. So this is a no trade. Let me move this over.
Actually, Gabrielle had mentioned in the chat that the RCS that you just had up on the screen, there's a similar app on Google Play for those of you that want to go check it out.
Okay, yeah, it's a handy thing to have, just so you can get an idea where the strength of everything is.
Yeah, the app, guys, a great app for your phone that has a lot of that is called Currency Heatwave.
Can you put the app on like an MT4 platform?
No, it's just the independent app, for your phone. But it has like a strength meter for all the different pairs, volume, volatility. It's a pretty cool app.
And you can just get that from your app store?
Yep.
Yep.
Currency Heatwave.
Currency Heatwave. That's
just... Yeah, it gives me similar stuff to what you have on that chart there, Al.
Okay.
Interesting.
Well, that's good to know. All these little things are helpful when it comes to trying to figure out which direction. Okay, here's one. Like this is the Aussie yen. Now we don't have an alert on euro. We have a euro yen. Was that the one we just looked? Euro yen? Yeah, that was the one we just looked at. Here's an Aussie yen. Now I was looking at the heat map to see where this thing was, and you can see where this thing is. It's in an uptrend, but remember we were saying that there's a lot of strength to the downside. Now this thing has actually closed through. Now this is not an alert. This is just something we're just, as we're looking through, waiting for alerts, we're just trying to find something that may help us when the alert does come through. And this one is actually, you can see it's already broken through this zone. The zone hasn't gone away yet, but I would not be surprised if an arrow does develop off of this. We're in an uptrend overall. We're in an overall uptrend. So I'm going to mark it here since this one was already penetrated. I'm just going to bring it down here where they are in an overall uptrend. If I zoom out a little bit more, definitely in an uptrend, and it's about ready.
Might be a good setup for a Fibbo retracement entry.
Very Fibbo. Let's see, that'd be from the Fibbo retracement. It would be it would be in the wrong direction though. That's the only problem with that. But I do like this from this down move. We had a little pullback. Now this one, it didn't cross over the moving average, but you can see there was a bit of a retracement here. With the Fibbo retracement, it goes with the arrow. The zone has to touch the zone, This one, it just I think I'll call that as a good touch. Come down to where it started to retrace, but it needs to retrace and cross over the blue line. It didn't do that. If I would take it up here a little bit higher, I mean, still didn't do that, but the retracement on this would have been about a 38% retracement. Your stop would have been up here. It had to cross the line, then it would have been more valid, and then it comes back down. And then your zero line is your first target. Your second target would be the 38, which looks like it's going to come down and make that target. I would not be chasing this trade right now. It is clearly in a
something we'll just keep our eyes on for later.
Yeah, it's something to kind of keep an eye on. Exactly. And we're going to change these over to put this in the vertical lines. Get my contra trend line set up. Maybe it may work its way into a contra trend trade. I do like the strength to the downside on this one, though. It did fit the criteria as far as the overall strength. But we really can't, if it breaks through here, we're still like I said, we're still in an uptrend. If we get a little bit stronger pullback, and then we may be able to go short on this. But this right now, it's not a trade for us. It doesn't fit although it looks very good, it doesn't fit the criteria. And that's the thing is a lot of times you think things are, I mean, sometimes they'll work out regardless whether they fit the criteria or not, but you just can't count on that. And if you want to maintain the strategy as best you can, it'll keep you out of trouble and it'll keep the guesswork down. The more you can just keep things very clean cut and disciplined, the better off you're going to be. You may lose some good trades by your gut, but a lot of times your gut doesn't always give you the right information.
Yeah, you're just looking for, we're looking for the highest probability trades available, right?
Mm-hmm.
The one that meet as many criteria, and you know what, passing on a trade is not always a bad thing.
Yeah.
Don't be in such a hurry that you have to take every trade.
Yeah, but you also don't want to be afraid to take the trades. When it fits the criteria and everything and the strategy fits, don't be afraid to take it. And that's how you learn. And so you're not going to win every trade. We certainly don't. And but we try and take the ones that set up that are giving us the signals to do so, and we take it, and then we manage it as we go along.
Did either of you guys have any fun last night with Bitcoin or Ethereum?
Well, I've had lots of fun with Bitcoin these last couple of days.
No,
I took a nice ride late last night with Bitcoin.
Yeah, I bought some Sunday night. I bought some, and I'm very pleased that the account is doing as well as it has been.
Yeah.
You traded.
I have a question for you actually with crypto, and maybe maybe I don't quite understand it, but when you watch Bitcoin, if you're in a trade with Bitcoin, you're watching the arrow pips number. Mm-hmm. I mean, as an example, at one point last night, it was telling me it was up like over 3,000 pips on what didn't appear to be that big a move. Is that? And then I look at my FX books, and it was like a whole decimal place lower than what.
Yeah, it's 300 pips, right?
Yeah. Is that it? Is the pip reader on Arrow actually one decimal place more than what it truly is once the trade's done?
Kind of for crypto. Is what I've noticed, because I think it's measured by points and not pips.
That's probably what it is. Yeah. Okay.
And indices is the same. It's the same as what you just said, Matt.
I'm sorry?
Indices, it measures it the same way. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So you see.
I'll be honest with you. When I buy Bitcoin or Ethereum or Litecoin, I basically look at I just look and see how much it dropped. If it drops 4 or 5%, I'll be more apt to buy in just by a percentage drop. If I'm looking to acquire some crypto, and generally what I do is I buy it to try to get it so that when I fund my accounts, I can buy the Bitcoin at a cheaper price, let it go up, and then I go and I sell it to fund my account. there is a portion that I am using just to sort of buy and hold, but that's just more of a long-term play. But I try to at least get my spread taken and paid off before I make the transfer to my trading account. That way I feel like I'm not spending a lot of money and transferring the funds from US dollars to my trading account.
Well, I know we don't do it on this call too much, but just for the record, all the 3 big cryptos are all retracing right now. Pretty good.
I saw it got up to what, 40? I saw 47, I think, last night.
Yeah, it was over 48. It was up over 48 last night.
Was it? So I figured 50. It's going to bounce off of. It's going to challenge 50, and then it's going to probably have a strong retracement.
It's dropped only back down to 45 right now.
Yeah, but that's pretty. But that's just. I mean, it's not. It certainly is something that has the volatility. There's no question. It's got the volatility. You just want to make sure you
get the right side of it.
You get on the right side of the volatility.
Because if you're on the wrong side, you smoke your account pretty quick.
Yeah. I don't trade a lot. I just trade enough to be able to know that I have it there to fund my account as we move on. I might have some I'm going to hold for the duration, but that's a whole different. There's 2 different thoughts about that whole thing. So I do think crypto is going to be the wave of the future, but that's just me.
I agree with you. Actually, Judson just said in the chat that he put a FIB tool on Bitcoin, and if he's correct in his analysis, which he may not be, it showed that it may be retracing back to about 41,000.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, and I would look at that as being a buying opportunity as opposed to selling in a panic mode.
Exactly.
Let's see if we have any other things we should be looking at here. Boy, no, just been a really slow alert morning. Usually we get more by this time.
Actually, Mark's got a question too. Sorry, since we have nothing right now, might as well get through as they come in, Al. He's asking, which Bitcoin wallet do you use? The fees are insane. You guys.
I'm looking at a couple of different ones right now. I'm not sure this is the platform to be able to have that discussion. There's several of them out there. I would say get with your team and talk to them about, but I'll say that the ones that I know of that are credible, I know Coinbase is credible, Uphold is credible. What's the other one? Gemini is another one that's been thrown out there. There's several of them out there that I know have some credibility to them. I've had some issues with each one of them, but I think for the most part they're okay.
Another question for you, Al. The arrows that you put on the charts showing the direction of the trend, the question, can you make them bigger? Can you show Rachel how you make them bigger?
Sure. Let me go. Here's one on the Aussie CAD. I'll open this one up. Here's the arrow. And if you get the arrow, you can just right click on the arrow and you see arrow properties. And just, I left click on the arrow properties. Whoop, I think it's left click. Oh, hang on. Right click on the arrow properties. There it goes. There's the box. And then if you could look over here, you'll see where the line thickness, this is what actually makes them bigger and smaller. So you can drop it down. That's the biggest line. If I pull that one down, it's going to be a little bit smaller. This is the smallest one yet. So basically this has to be solid. And then this is just the thickness of what normally be the thickness of a line, just shows you the size of the arrow. So right there, I can do that, and there's a little bit smaller. And that's how you do that.
Answers your question, Rachel.
And then you can do the same thing over here with the drop down, and you can just. And I think it will set to whatever the last one you set it have it set to.
Oh, we just got a pound US.
Pound US. Let's take a look at that. Let me take a look. Let me take those off here, and we'll go to the pound US. And that's pound USD right here. And it says it's a buy. We are Let's zoom out. We are in an uptrend, so we are looking for buys. I get my arrow. Up arrow. Here's my last zone right up in here. Scroll out. Zoom out. And we have a buy. Here's the target. Let's see if we have the range. There would be the target. Here would be the range. It's 6 pips. And it would have to pull all the way back to well within this green line to get the range out of this thing. That's 20 pips. So basically, if it pulled all the way back and got to an up arrow, that would be reasonable. But right now, this whole zone right here is too close. You want to make sure you have enough range to be able to cover your spreads and also have enough to get your profit. This is only 13 pip range between the two zones. That's really not a whole lot of range.
Where's the next zone, Al? Is there another zone on top there?
Well, let's see here.
Or is that a top here and we're just looking like, because it looks like a potential wedge breakout that could happen here on GU.
Yeah, it could be a little bit like what we did yesterday with that one that was a
little bit iffy, right?
Yeah, it was iffy. I mean, it's one of those things where if it broke through, and it did break and it did go and hit the next target. But let's go. In order to find this out, we're going to have to go to the higher time frame. So we'll go to a 30-minute chart, and we'll try and zoom out, see if we can just find a zone someplace.
I got nothing now. I got nothing.
Let's go to
look. It looks like a flag pattern.
Still nothing.
No.
Go to 4 hour. Still nothing.
I don't think that red zone has any bearings.
No, it doesn't look like it has. That's something that's there's a 15-minute zone. That's the one we're looking at here. So let's zoom out. Let's take a look at this one under with the trading view chart and see what we have here. See if there's anything above this zone that we can find to where we can look for something here. First all I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here and I'm going to look and see how strong the British is to the US. And we're going to see that the British is right here in the middle. It's right in the middle. A little bit stronger here on the 15-minute, stronger here on the 5. So we would want to be trading in the direction of the British. The US dollar it's kind of right. I mean, it's just like there's not a lot of difference between on the 30 minutes. So there's not a lot of variation there. Let's go take a look at this and see what, let's see, we go to our charts and we go to, let me change this thing out a little bit. And British US. I'm gonna go to my 15-minute chart. This is where the technical analysis can come into play.
Oh yeah, I like this long.
Yeah, this is, you can see it's basically been going from, here's the daybreak. This is the overnight move right here. So if we're looking at the overnight move, this was the overnight low. This was the overnight high right in here. So that's basically our daily range. I'm gonna make this change the color on this one. Make this into a just use this for our reference. This is the box. This is the playground we're playing in. But you can see it's strong move up, basing. It pulled back a little bit, retested the top, pulled back again. Here's your wedge right here. You have a low. You actually have a double bottom right here, pretty much. So it does look like it has room to break to the upside. I would start with here to up this one, back down to here, and we're going to tweak it down to right about where this looks like it's trying to break out of the outside. Now we do have a little bit, it's got to get through this B in order to go up higher. Now the question is, where is this thing going to go? We couldn't find anything on the MT4 chart. So what we're going to do is we're going to zoom out, go to a higher time frame, and see where is the latest high that we have. Well, we know that we're right here at the B area. So we're going to, just extend the line all the way across. And then we're going to look over here and see what we can find. And you're going to find out you're going to go back a long way before you can find anything. So I'm just going to go to a daily chart. And you're going to see that from the, well, we lost our little line here. Let's try this again. This is where, so we're going to have to go all the way back to My goodness, we're all the way back to 2019 and still haven't hit the top. So we're just making some fairly significant highs. This is the first time we had to come all the way back to April of 2018. But remember, price has memory. It doesn't forget where it came from. But this was a strong move down, and it has strong move down, had a little bit of basing. This is on a daily chart, so it's strong move. One little basing area right in here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this high, where there's like a little bit of a wick over wick on this area. I'm going to clone this. Keep an eye on those alerts and make sure I don't miss something here.
Yeah, we're watching.
My faithful companions.
Not a problem. You'll always hear mine when it goes off.
and so here's a little wick over wick area. Here is the origin. Here's another little wick over wick. Here's a shot down wick, and then it just fell down. This is all in one day. This is 1 day move. So I'm going to make this another little area.
Now Pedro is asking, would you use a Fibonacci here at all?
Not yet. I'm just trying to find out where the bounces are going to be. I mean, we could eventually. Right now, I'm just trying to determine where the zones are, and then I could probably work with the Fibonacci off of that. This is right now. I'm just trying to find out where I could expect a bounce. So if we go way back to the chart now, we'll see where our current price is. Now we know we have a zone right here. We have the next major zone is going to be up here. So if this thing breaks, we'll go back to our 15-minute chart. And you see we're right in this blue zone right here. So we're right in the middle. And you can see it's just basing. So that's why when you looked at that heat map, it wasn't really showing any real significant strength, because right now it's just in here trying to decide, does it want to go up higher, which is going to take all the way back to April of 2018. That's 3 years ago. Or is it going to come back down and start retracing back to where this thing came from all the way down here in February? This is probably a good indication of what's happening with the US dollar, these economic times. And so right now, it's just like there's really no trade with that, but we know where the target would be if it can break this zone. And if it can break through this little wedge where it is right now, this would probably be the next target, which would be at 37.89. So let's take a look at our chart here. So at 137.89, which is pretty much right where we are right now. So that's one reason why this is a no-go. You're sitting right up here in a major supply zone. It's going to have to break through this red zone before it's going to give you any trade. And this is one way to stay out of these trades, to think, okay, well, if it breaks, where am I going to go? But just remember, it would have to break this, come back down, form another green zone, and then start working on up. You don't want to have a break, come back a retest, and then take off again. But right now, this is not a trade, and it's just not you're in a rather tight range from the top of this red to the bottom of the green. That's only 22 pips. That would barely be enough if this red zone was all the way up to the top of if the bottom of this was at the top, it'd be barely enough to be able to get in to take this trade long, although it would have qualified then. So that's the analysis on that one. And let's see, any other pairs we can look at here. Does any of this make sense, or is this confusing? Do I need to, I'm not sure I can simplify it much more than what I've done, but I can try if it's becoming too confusing for anybody.
While we're waiting, can we analyze gold, maybe?
Sure. Yeah, gold has been kind of playing with us a little bit here these last couple of days.
Just a touch.
Just a touch. Yeah, actually, what I did was I was in a gold trade, and I finally worked my way out of it yesterday. So I'm flat on gold.
Oh, fantastic!
Yeah, well, I had to take a little bit of a hit with it, but it was a tolerable one to where it didn't do any serious damage. But
gold literally just took out a support zone. Now it's moving down to that bigger one.
This was a major zone last night. I had this thing marked off. This was a major zone. This little between these yellow. It was kind of like there was a drop, a base, a drop, This was the retest of that base that we had last night. And now it's coming down to retest. So right now it's trading inside of a range pretty much between, I'm not sure this is, yeah, those are Fibonacci lines here. Let me just take these off.
Looks like it's forming a bit of a wedge there on the 15. Would you agree, Matt?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. When you have a big move up, you're going to have your consolidation. Before I would take this as a wedge break, what I would want to see, especially for gold, is to see it break a trend line, come back and tag the trend line, and then take off. I wouldn't take a trade just on the break of the wedge. I would want it to retest one of the trend lines, either to the top or the bottom, before taking that entry. Yeah. But you see an M, right? It's very clear you got a nice M formation in your at the top there. See, right look at that thing.
This M right here. Yeah.
Yeah. So you might get a bounce off that green zone, guys. You might get a nice bounce, arrow, flip, boom, gone. You know, that might happen.
That's what I'm waiting for.
Yeah, that might happen. So we're just setting some things up where there potentially could be some nice trades, but right now there's nothing appealing for at least myself.
Yeah, gold has been in an uptrend for pretty much since last summer, but now we did. This is a significant pullback. I mean, we're looking at $2,100 for gold, or close to 2,100 back in July. This is a significant pullback, but it is still basically on this lower time frame. It's still certainly in an uptrend, even though it has been somewhat range bound for the. If we go to a 15-minute chart on this, you're going to see that it is for last week it kind of took a little bit of a hit, and then it's now starting to work its way back again. So, but it is basically in an uptrend. We are looking for up arrows, up, basically bounces into the upside, and the target on this seems like a reasonable target of 1863. I think eventually you're going to see it back up to 1900. It's just working its way up there a little bit. It's getting a little bit of pressure with all the quantitative easing that's going on. That tends to keep the gold somewhat stabilized because for whatever reason, I don't know. But anyway, we're looking for an up arrow, a bounce with an up arrow, and then if that comes into play, with gold we're looking at $5 target, $10 stop, and so if we can get a bounce, let's say we get an arrow somewhere around in this area, about the 1845, let's just say 1845 area, you've got 5 pips, 45 to 61. That's $15 move to the upside. So that could be a nice little move if we get the up arrow. We're only looking for a $5 move to the upside, $5 target, $10 stop, and that would put you at 36. So it would put you on the other side of this green zone. But let's just be patient, wait for the arrow to come through. And let's say we trade this on a 5-minute chart. And you may want to scale in a little bit if we do get that arrow. You may want to just scale and make sure you try and get a good entry on it. And so on a 5-minute chart, you can see that this zone is, the bottom of this is, let me just go and put a line on that.
There's a question from Josh. He's asking if we got an arrow for gold on the 15-minute, would it be a valid bag?
Probably so. I think. Let's see, 15-minute. Yeah, because it is touching the green. It is inside the green zone, even though you can't barely see it. It is inside there. So yeah, if we get an arrow, that would be a bag entry, and there would be enough room. You would be in the right direction to the upside for this one. So that I would say, answer your question, that'd be a yes on that one. British New Zealand, we have just got an alert on that one. Let's take a look at that.
Hey, your red zone's gone on gold, eh?
Oh, good.
It was gone.
British New Zealand, we have a buy And we're right there at the red zone. Again, no trade on this one. We are coming into the reversal zone, the 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock area. So we are now where we could, if we got a down arrow, we could take this trade with a bounce. It looks like we are up into the red zone. If we can get a bounce to the downside, the British New Zealand, let's see where we at with the strength on that one. British New Zealand, again, the British is kind of right in the middle of the pack on your lower time frames. So it doesn't have any real significant strength other than the fact that the New Zealand has been weaker, but the New Zealand is gaining some strength to this. So this could very well be one of those things where if the New Zealand starts taking over the strength of the British pound, you'd be trading this thing to the downside. So the New Zealand dollar is the second currency of the pair, which would mean that if it's strong, it'd be looking to take it short if the New Zealand dollar is strong to the British pound. So we need a down arrow. Right now we don't want to take it. It's in the up. It is in a downtrend, and but we do have an up arrow. But we're also coming into the reversal zone here. So can't take it to the upside because it's in the red zone. But if we get a down arrow, we could take it. And during this next couple hours, we could take that trade. Right now, it's not a trade.
Rachel was wondering if we could have a look at the NASDAQ on the 1 minute.
Okay. NASDAQ on the 1 minute. We have put it on the 1 minute. Let's take a look and see what the direction is on the 5. Looks like it's in an uptrend on the 5 minute, which is the time frame we would use for the overall trend. And so we're going to go with, there's a little bit of a zone right here. That's interesting. We're coming into our reversal zone. So change this out. I'm going to put these, click up here at the top. Click these to the 09, which is the date. And that's the beginning. This will be the end of it. And let's move it to the 1 minute chart and see what we have on the 1 minute. We go to the 1 minute. Oof, that. Looks like it's starting to finally, let's see, we have this thing to the upside. We are in the reversal zone. We really can't take, we did have a bounce. Barely a bounce. Well, came up, we tested it, we got the arrow. This is actually, I mean, it came up, formed the zone. Here's the arrow. Here's a second arrow coming down into, but you're only looking at, we're at 60, 13,666, and the target on this would be somewhere around.
Well, that would work, Al. You got your $5. You have enough.
Do we have the $5 on this? So on this one, let's see what the price is on this. Here's the arrow. So it would have been the close up here somewhere. Let me see if I can spread this out a little bit so I can see where the entry would have been on the 1 minute. That would have been the entry. It's $72, $5. We're looking at 68, 67 objects. So it'll be 13,667.
Which is pretty much where price is at the moment.
13,667. And that would be the first target down there, which is right where it is. It would have made that target if you had the arrow at the right time. Oh, and this area down here is at 13.59. So there's still room down to the green zone. You have another $7 to the downside, which this thing could.
I've got a question here that one of you guys might be able to answer. I don't know the answer. Steven's asking, do we have any strategy for trading within the zones? He says we miss many trades because the signal always comes within the zones. It's too close.
The only strategy we have is if the zones are 50 pips apart, then it's a tradable trade. If the if the red zones and the green zones are equal, and that's the only strategy we have for that.
But we have nothing to trade, like if something is that like close to this zone, correct? That I mean,
the only other thing, possibly you could maybe switch to like a Fibonacci retracement, where you had a, for instance, like on this particular case, you could maybe have, you could maybe do something where you have, you're with the trend. Now this one we're still kind of contra trend, but for example, this move here from here coming on up, a
and the
Fibonacci
time
retracement.
frames too, right? The time frames. I remember Nate saying something about if you can't get a trade on the current zone or time frame you're on, check the different time frames.
Yeah, you could do that. So for like this, for here, this would be, let's say you were taking this trade, and you had this would be the Fibonacci retracement where you had it. You start off with the, you need in this case a green zone. You need to have a candle that's inside the zone. Draw the fib line up to the top, where it comes back down, crosses over the moving average. Find out what the moving average crossover was. You need to have a formation, a pivot formation to where, a price formation where that would justify a turnaround, be like a hammer or a double bottom or something of that nature. And then from that, your stop would be the next zone below plus 5 pips. So that would be, your stop would have been right around in, this area right in here, 5 pips below this yellow line. And then your target would be, the first target would be this line. The second target would be, if it pulled back to the 38, your second target would be the 38%, which you can see where it just barely touched that. So that would have been a Fibonacci retracement. That would be going contra trend, but that would be one of those areas where you may be able to do something like that. The other one would be if during the London session, they have, there's some other sessions where, depending on what the range of the zone is between the money zone, which is coming around 2 o'clock in the morning, then you can get the break of that area. I don't really discuss that too much because it's not the time frame which we're trading in this. You'd have to catch Nathan's session at night to be able to catch that strategy.
Yeah, money zone breakout, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, that'd be more of the pre-market breakout into the money zone. A little bit of how that works is, let me go back to a 5-minute chart, see where the money zone is here. You can see where our money zone is. Now this one I don't think would qualify because I think it's the range is, I'm not sure what it is, if the range is different on the indices, but that's got a 30, it's a 314 pip move, so that would be out of the question. On the currencies, let's say, for example, let's just pick one here. You'd be looking to see what and this is just with the bodies of here's the day break, and so this would be the low of the trade session. And just looking at the bodies, just taking it to the body, and you look at the body high, which is B up here. And as long as this zone between these two lines is less than 50 pips, in this case they are, what is that? Let's see, we got 82, 822 to 108.31. So that's less than, that's only like 9 pips. Measure that out again. It didn't sound right, but I guess it is. It looks like about 9 pips. So as long as, and then when it hits the money zone, the first break of one of these lines when it gets into the money zone, once it breaks, then you take it in that direction and you have a 20 pip target, 40 pip stop. And you can see this one would have worked out very nicely. That's one of those strategies. But you would have had to have been here for the London Open to be able to catch that one. Let's see. Let's go back to the British New Zealand and see what's happening on that. on that front. VPS is working better today.
Yeah.
And then we're looking at, this is still in a downtrend. We have a down arrow, nothing new there. This is one where we said that there was a pretty strong zone right here. Looking for, be more apt to see a bounce to the downside. How about a Swiss New Zealand? Let's take a look at the Swiss New Zealand. Or New Zealand Swiss. New Zealand, where's New Zealand? No, we even have New Zealand CAD, New Zealand. Nope, where is New Zealand? I guess we don't have that one. Let's try a different one. Let's try the Aussie yen, see where that one's doing anything. We're in an uptrend. We're in the zone below. We don't have any arrows to speak of. We are in the contra trend zone. Actually, let's see if there's any other alerts that we have coming in here. Let me just double check that.
Paige was actually asking how about taking a pound New Zealand counter trend. I mean, it's in the zone, right? Now we're in the counter trend where you can do it.
Pound New Zealand, let's take a look at that one. Well, we can't really take, no, well, I can't take it before it goes, clears through this zone up here.
He's going counter trend.
Well, the trend is down. So yeah, if we do take it off this arrow, we have to, if we can get through this zone, then I'd say you might have a trade there. But we have to get through this. There's a lot of, got a little bit of a situation over here that could be a potential problem. If we look at this thing from a wedge standpoint, strong down move, basing, strong down moves. Right now, this is retesting this from this down move. It came in, it went sideways, and then it dropped. Now, what's happening is it's retesting this before it either goes up or it comes back down and retests the bottom here. We need to get through this part right here before we can.
He's actually talking about taking a sell.
Yeah, well, we don't want to take the sell till we make sure we get the bounce. This would be like trying to catch that, pick the high, and you could be taking the sell right at the point where it breaks out of the top. I mean, there is a fairly strong chance that you may win on that trade, but if this zone doesn't hold, then this is going to be the next target. British New Zealand. Let me look at that a little bit closer here.
Robert, can you put that link in the chat too, please? Robert's put a link in the Q&A for those of you that want to check out for currency strength. That might be helpful. Thanks, Robert.
So this is the one we're looking at with the British pound. We're right in the zone right here. I'm on a 15-minute chart. Let me just clear all this stuff out here. Is that an alert? So this was yesterday's range right here, and so right now we're still inside. It did break out the bottom. So here's what I look at with this. Here is yesterday's high. This would be like looking at a daily chart with one daily candle and looking at all the different moves that it had one day. And so the overnight did break through the bottom up here. So we're going to take the overnight, the low from yesterday's low to the overnight low from today's evening. And then we have the new retest of this area right here. So right now, it's looking to, we have a nice little trend here. We have a high, a lower high, basing and broke. So this is the beginning of a reversal of this trend, but we have to get through the top of this. Once it gets through, here's a nice little drop. Here's the base, drop, retest. So this zone has been retested once before. So if I'm going to look at this little retest area, and that's pretty much where we are right now. It's coming up and it's testing this zone. If it can break, now I would be looking at this, and what Robert was saying is true. This could be a possibly good area to take it short, but I would want to see a reversal pattern here before I did that. But I think I would expect it to kind of come up, retest yesterday's high, which is pretty much right in this area. So this would be I would look at this being the possible trap area. So I think your analysis is certainly one to be considered. And then we're looking at, so we scale down to a smaller time frame and see exactly what that looks like on a 5-minute chart. Put this on a 5-minute. The question would be is, when do you want to take this thing short? Do you want to wait till here's a strong move up, a little bit of basing right here, another move up. And this thing could keep on going. You have to wait for this up move to give you now here's a nice little wick, but it looks like this wick is going to be taken out still to the upside. This is sort of like a little head fake right here. So usually at the end of these strong moves, this was a relatively strong move. Here's a pullback. Now you have another strong move. If you draw a Fibonacci on this, take it from here to here to the pullback. This would be your target zone. Right up in this area would be a target zone. So with the strength that you might be looking at with the British pound, I would be hesitant to take it short until you get a reversal pattern here. It could very well reverse inside this red zone here, but I would wait for a clear sign that's reversing and then maybe take it short and try and go for a few pips on that one. That's a good observation, though. Let's check the news and see what kind of news we have today. We haven't done that yet today. Here's our Forex Factory. Here's February 9th. I'm not seeing any red folders, so that's a good sign. Nothing major coming on, so we shouldn't get any major bounces off of some news announcement or some report that's coming out. So we're kind of good in that regard. Yeah, let's see. I'm looking to see if I can find any other possible alerts that we could be looking at in the meantime. Oh, there's an Aussie Swiss. Did we ever look at that? I don't think we looked at that one, did we? Aussie Swiss.
I don't think so.
That one just came in, I guess.
And that's an Aussie Swiss for a sell. We are in the reversal zone. We do have a lot of green right here. That'd be nice. We got one good trade today, but we haven't seen anything that's tradable yet. Let's see my reversal zones. 9. There may be a little more movement when the U.S. market opens up this morning. This was a up zone. It's still there. I'm going to move this over. So this one's still been tested. This was the origin, came back up, formed another zone. So now we have a level on a level. I would say if we can get this thing moving to the upside, get an up arrow, that would be a possibility. Nice. You have a nice range on this one from here to up here. That's 30 pips. That would be enough. If we can get an up arrow off of this bounce, that would be a nice little trade. So we're going to move this one up. This would be a target up. So let's put a target in up here, would be around 69.29-ish. We'll just sort of get this set up for a possible target of 0.6929, we'll call it 0.6929. And the open of the trade would be 0.6909. Let's see that. That would be, if we can get in below this blue line, at or below this blue line, we have a nice range for a target. And then the stop would be 0.6889, I think. No, 69. Right around there. So this would be, if we can get an up arrow below it before this, that we can take this with we have lots of room to the upside. So we can keep an eye on that one. And that's the Aussie Swiss.
Can we go back to the gold, please, Alec? We've got a couple questions here on the gold. Okay. Joe is saying, so is gold not a bag entry on the M15 since that new red resistance zone popped? So I'm not sure.
Normally we don't look at gold on the 15, but I'm not seeing any entry. I don't see a arrow. Without the arrow, there's no bag entry without the arrow.
Yeah,
gold is the
traded
arrow.
on the 5.
We go to a 5 minute, see if there's something on the 5 minute.
In there either.
I mean, I'm just saying we may not get a bag entry, but let's see. This is at 1847, so we'd have to get the entry before 1842. So let's move this down to 1842-ish. And if we got the entry, so right now we'd have to get the entry at or below this blue line. Target. This would be 1847, we'll call it. And the stop would be 18. Actually, we need 5 pips. So we need $5 is what we're talking about. So 1847, 1842. Yeah, that's right. $5. And then $10 stop be 1832. $5 target, $10 stop. So we can move this thing up a little bit here. $47.69 to $42.69. That's close enough. So we'll see if it gets an entry, if we get an alert for that one. Looks like we have an alert for the US Tech. And we are in a, well, overall, we know we're in an uptrend. This is a pretty strong retracement, so the Fibonacci isn't going to work for us.
This is due for a correction too, is it not?
Yeah, it is definitely due for a correction. And where's my Fibonacci? Here we go. Take that one off and just delete that. Looks like we have a bounce. Now let's see if this thing is gonna go to the. We are in an uptrend. Now we could possibly get a. So this would be at 72. This is the target on this one would be the upside. Plenty of room for the target if we get an up arrow off this bounce.
Actually, there's room for a $5 move down, right? It's got a double arrow there as well.
Let's see here.
But I don't know, do you consider that a bounce, those greens, like they haven't even really touched the zone?
We do have a zone. It did penetrate the zone. Off of this down arrow, they did penetrate the zone.
But it's what I mean is from the green to take it short, because it's got the two arrows to take it short.
Well, you want to take it short into the green zone.
Well, no. But what I'm saying, is
point here.
There is $5 room before you hit the green. But would you consider that a bag because the green candle didn't actually hit the zone, the resistance zone above?
Yeah, that would be correct. This was, since it didn't hit the zone, this would not be. I mean, this is a down arrow, but it's not really what you call a bag entry because you really didn't get the bounce off of the zone.
Right.
But you do have a down arrow, and you would have had, I don't know if you had $5 in here or not.
Well, right now
I would say it could be a tradable trade if it's if you had the range to the green with you're in the contra trend. So that would still eliminate it as being an entry because you're in your contra trend. Now you're in the contra trend zone, but now you're also going with the trend. This is where it gets to be a little gray sometimes, but you're in a strong uptrend. This is a pullback. I believe in order to qualify as a bag entry, it has to bounce, and it hasn't bounced off of this. So this would not be a bag entry, although it would be a contra trend inside the contra trend zone, which you could have taken that with the down arrow if you have the 5 pips to the target. And so with this, where the arrow would be here, 5 pips to the target. So we're at 66 to 61. You've just barely had the 5 pips. You barely had the $5. You would have got, you could have eked that one out.
It probably wouldn't have been a very high probability trade. The better trade would have been if the arrow was just under where that red zone was, and then you could take it there but being close like that, it's kind of a.
Yeah, if we have had an arrow off of this green candles.
You only need a $5 movement for the indices. Don't forget that. And that arrow would provide that.
And that's true. Like I say, well, let's see if you have to really. I mean, let's see.
Maybe
right
not
off
from the second arrow after.
Well, I'm just looking off. I'm leaving off the. Well, certainly off the second arrow. I would say definitely not.
No.
Off the second arrow, you're not going to get it. Off the first arrow, you probably could have gotten it barely.
Just barely.
Just barely. I mean, right there is
6.
$6, and it did go down to about 7. So, yeah, the first one would have qualified. You're inside the contra trend zone. You got the arrow. And you had the target range. So yes, you could have taken that one.
Our only hope now is that green disappears, and then it may continue to carry on downwards.
Well, actually, right, I'm looking more as I'm looking to see this thing bounce. Give me an up arrow, and then there's my target.
As you well know, I'm not looking for that.
Well,
I'm looking for the other way.
There's a lot of people in this room that probably are not looking for it to go back up again. But
no,
from the strategy, I'm
trying to keep my head in a positive space.
Yeah. Let's see, what else do we have here?
We've got in the Q&A, EuroCAD is creating an M, or is EuroCAD creating an M? Lexi is asking.
The EuroCAD.
On what time frame, Lexi?
Hey guys, so we got our 10-minute warning, eh? So it's 8:45.
Okay, yeah, we have Dante's session starts at 9 o'clock in Dante's room.
Okay, so the 15 minutes she's saying.
Which was it again?
EuroCAD. The question is EuroCAD creating an M on the 15-minute?
EuroCAD creating an M on the 15-minute.
Looks like it.
You're right here. You're talking about.
Yeah, we're soon.
I would say. I look at it more as starting to trend, more so than a M. I would rather see the M more up in this area, where you get more of a bounce. Right now, I was looking at this thing's more of a just starting to trend a little bit. If it came up here, bounced off of this and gave you an M, that would be more of the M. Like for instance, like here is the, let's see, is there a W here? Not really. Let me see if I can find something that might shed some light on this subject here. I'm not real happy about those. Yeah, I would hesitate to call that an M for a couple of reasons. One, I mean, with M's, most of on a really nice M, this hump would be lower than here, so you'd have a little bit of a slope. This one's breaking through, which tells me this thing's more of a starting to trend a little bit. This would be more of a. So here's the gradual. Here's the launch. Here's the first. This is more like a rally basing and rally up again. So I would be almost looking for this to be more of a, even though it didn't break through the Fibonacci or the moving average line, I'd be more inclined to think of this being more like a Fibonacci retracement where it came up, retraced back to the 38, although it didn't cross the blue moving average line. And then this would be the next target. This would be the 38%. So I look at this to be more of a target, possibly come up and retest this area. Just by the length of this and the pullback, I'd be more apt to be thinking that this thing is going to retest this zone. So it's really a nice little uptrend. EuroCAD, let's see where the EuroCAD is.
Actually, we got a couple questions here about the Aussie yen that just came in. How?
Aussie yen? Oh, okay.
Yeah, we got an alert for Aussie yen. We got a couple questions about that.
Let's take a look at that.
Lewis is asking, can I get an invite to the next session? Who invited you in the first one, Lewis? I'm not sure who would have sent you the link. I guess, how do we get that to him?
Oh, that's in the bag chat. If he's in the bag chat, then, and it's also in the Arrow announcements page.
Okay, you're talking Telegram. About the session with Dante, is that right? Not this one?
Yeah. This is the Hawkeye that Dante starts at 9. So it would be in the Arrow bag, Arrow announcements. And then there should be a link to there for the register for the Zoom link.
I guess I misunderstood the question. I thought he was talking about the next Arrow session.
Yeah, the next Arrow session is...
I meant the next Hawkeye session.
Oh, next Hawkeye session.
That's what I understood, but yeah, I think you guys are right. He's talking about...
I think all these announcements are in the Arrow announcements. So all you would do is just get on that Telegram link, and they'll give you the registration link to be able to get to the YouTube or to the Zoom room.
All right, I'm gonna bounce out and see who's starting the call and what's going on.
Okay, all right. We'll
appreciate your guidance today, Al.
All right, thank you for your help there, Matt.
Thanks, Ava, for.
Oh, no problem, Matt. No problem. Afterwards.
Aussie yen. We're in an uptrend, contra trend zone. Aussie yen, Aussie strength on the 5. Once again, strength to the downside. This one could be a, well, it's contra trend, but that's okay. So let's see, we have room here. You have an arrow, 34 pips. This is a tradable trade, it looks like to me.
Yeah.
It's in the contra trend zone. Down arrow, we have a target down here, and I think that's a tradable. Let's put our zones on here. So we have the open is at 80.70, and we have a target 80.50. Yep, that works. And the stop is at 81.10. I'd say this is a tradable trade. We're on the right time frame. Now it's in an uptrend, but it's in a contra trend zone. And the yen is stronger than the Aussie, so stronger to the downside. And I think I'm going to take that one. I'll take this one. So we're going to sell. I'm going to put my target and stop in. 40, 20, target, trade's done.
Okay, I know there's a couple of people that are talking about how there's another zone, like using the peekaboo method. The one thing you guys need to realize, though, is that the trade is still valid, even without the peekaboo method on currency pairs. It may take a little longer to get to the target because of those zones on the lower time frame, but the peekaboo method is predominantly used for indices more so. It's just an extra check. If you don't want to sit and draw down and you want to wait, that's fine. And I get that because I'm kind of like that, but the trade is still valid even without doing the peekaboo. Is that right, Al? Isn't that Nathan even told you that? Did he not?
See that again. I was kind of distracted here trying to get a trade set up here.
Okay, so there's a few people saying that there's a green zone on the lower time frames, like on the 5 minute and the 1 minute, like using the peekaboo method. And from what I understood from you, Nathan says that the trade is still valid, even if you don't drop down to the peekaboo method. I know Coach Mo uses it.
Yeah,
he trades indices predominantly. So
yeah, I think your most the trade itself is valid if it's valid on the 15 minutes, a valid trade. The peekaboo method, what it does, it may allow you to get a little bit better entry on the trade, but the trade is still valid.
Exactly.
That's pretty much the way I understand it. And I don't really use the peekaboo method so much when you're trading like the indices or gold or something like that has a lot more volatility. I think it's probably prudent to do that. I don't think it's really necessary to do it on all the time frames or all the different pairs of all the forex pairs. I think it's sort of taking the strategy to another level that doesn't really need to be going in that direction, because all it does is starts to help complicate things for you.
Yeah, it doesn't invalidate the 15-minute trade. It may take a little longer getting there, and you might take a little bit more heat than you otherwise would, but it's not a necessary don't take it just because there's another zone under it on a lower time frame. On the indices, I can see that. And maybe even gold, I would see that.
Yeah. You have to remember that we're looking with a 40 pip stop and a 20 pip target. And often if you can catch it in the right direction, the 40 pip stop for the most part doesn't become a factor. It will become a factor if you're holding it overnight. It becomes more of a factor, but usually during the daytime, if you're catching it during the main money zone time frame, more often than not, you'll get if you're in the right direction with the right strategy, you can catch that 20 pips or close to it pretty much within a couple hours. Normally you can make your target with those. With the indices, they're a lot more volatile, and we're not really. I'm not advocating to be trading the indices or gold because until you get be a little bit more experienced with the volatility and the price movement, you're better off just sticking with these major currency pairs. That's my take on it.
Yeah, so just remember that, guys. It doesn't invalidate. It's not a chiseled in stone rule for currency pairs. But Al, we're at
the 5-minute mark. We'll give people, we'll give people a chance. So anyway, I did take this trade. And that doesn't mean that you should. It is, but keep an eye on it if you did. And like I said, it's the only trade that we had that was a viable trade this morning. So all I can say is stick to the rules, stick to the strategies, keep going over those strategies, go in the back office and keep reviewing those strategies. And so you can start looking for the different patterns that support those strategies. And with that, hopefully we'll see you over in the Dante session. If not, thanks for coming in today. We enjoy having you, and we appreciate your questions. And we'll see you tomorrow, same time, 7:30 to 9 o'clock. We are here Monday through Friday. And everybody have a good day.
Thanks, Al. Thank you.
Yeah, have a great day, all.
Yeah, thanks, Charles.